encouraged to make a little sacrifice during Lent to show solidarity with our Lord, who's cold and hungry and sandy and all alone. And most major religions would have a period of sacrifice where they'd give up food completely and they'd nearly die of starvation. But not Catholics, because we know how to look after ourselves. What do we give up? Sweets. Yeah? I just ask somebody next year, hello Brendan, what are you giving up for Lent? Crunchies. No more crunchies for me for a whole month. Bloody hypocrite. If he really wanted to make a sacrifice, he should give up something he really needs, like oxygen, for example. And when I was going to school, all the kids in my class, they used to have their school books covered in wallpaper. And I know you did too, by the way, every one of you. Because every person in Ireland and in Britain and in Europe and in the Middle East and everywhere from the beginning of time has had their school books covered in wallpaper. And nobody to this day knows why, do they? It's a bloody mystery. You come home from school that first day and your mother gets tremendously excited. She goes, ooh, I think I know exactly what to do with them. Ah, yes. And she rips the wallpaper off the wall. There we go. That'll look far better in your school book than it will up there. Bloody mystery. And then you see parents on a Saturday afternoon in DIY shops all over the country going, ooh, what do you think of those stripes? Huh? They'd look lovely on his maths book, wouldn't they? Very geometric. But my mother, she was very thrifty and she said she couldn't afford wallpaper. So she'd just splash a little bit of paint on them. Put up shelves on the back for the apple. And little pictures of the Sacred Heart on the front. And one time she asked me did I want some trousers, and I said I'd love some trousers. 7 years old and I'm fucking freezing. It's about time you asked me whether I want some trousers. And then she asked me what kind did I want, and I said Wranglers, please, because they were in fashion at the time, and I was only 7, and I didn't know any better. And she ignored me completely. She went over to the man in the shop and just said, give us a big pair of dingoes, please. Come on, hurry up. Standard size, laughing stock trousers for the little man. Ones with enough extra corduroy in the legs to make a pair of curtains for all me lovely neighbours. And I want little sew-on patches of St. Anthony on the back pocket. I don't want me little man getting lost. It was always very embarrassing going shopping with your mother. Went shopping for shoes as well. I was going bright red beneath me balaclava at this stage, and she... she didn't want to know what my taste in footwear was. She had a picture, a clear picture of what she wanted from me. Went in and just said, just give us a big pair of black shoes, please. Big, basic, functional, square, Eastern European type of shoes will do him. Ones that he'll grow into by the time he's 47 if he's lucky. With little razor blades in the heels. Come on. Oh. Now you know what it was like. Well, I suppose the best thing about model airplanes is watching your little brother's reaction when you smash them. As my big brother used to say. Before he drowned. I was one of those very annoying little twits. He used to copy every single thing my big brother said. I'd be always imitating him. He'd come in after a hard day's work and he'd be furious and he'd be saying to me, now look here you, just don't you copy me today, right? I'm not in the mood. I'd be going, now look here you, just don't you copy me today, right? I'm not in the mood. I thought I told you not to copy me. I thought I told you not to copy me. Okay, that's it, I'm going to have to kill you. Okay, that's it, I'm going to tell Mammy. I've done like that for years, but of course I shouldn't have teased him because he actually had a serious problem from an early age. A disease. He used to insult and abuse everybody he ever met. You know, strangers and friends alike. It was like one of those obsessive compulsive disorders that you'd see on Oprah in the afternoon. And he brought shame in the family, and we didn't know what to do with him for years, and eventually we brought him to doctors and psychiatrists and butchers and everybody, and brought him in the boot of the car, but nobody could do anything for him. So eventually, as a last resort, we brought him to the acupuncturist. And they just arrived on the scene with a very good reputation. And we went in there, and he started cursing and swearing at the acupuncturist immediately. like we never heard before. But she was having none of it. She went over to her cabinet and took out her biggest needle, and she stuck it in my brother's eye. That shut him up for a while. But then she stuck it in my eye, because I'd been copying everything he said. I came from a fairly big family too, you know, there was about 17 of us all together. 15 and 2 imaginary ones. But my father, by contrast, he was a great man for the crack, a great character. And I remember one time I was only about 6 years old, and I was in the kitchen at home eating a bar of chocolate. And I took the price sticker off the bar of chocolate and I stuck it on the fridge door. And when my father came into the room, I said, Dad, come here, look. The fridge only cost 12 pence. And he said to me, no, it didn't. That fridge cost £400. So sorry about that, son. What a character, huh? Great man for that crack. Great man for the horses too. He spent all his money on the horses. Got them whatever they wanted. Jewellery, saddles, fur, anything. And I admired him tremendously. And you know when kids admire their fathers, they always imitate them. You know, they'll walk the same way and talk the same way and do everything exactly the same. And I was no different. When I was only about 6 years old, I admired my father so much, I grew 2 huge big tufts of hair in my ears. That's what I did. He respected me for that. And he was kind of a practical man too. I mean, one summer I was about 16 years old and I was up on top of this big electricity pylon quite near the house. It was a Sunday afternoon in the middle of summer, just after the big match. And I was up there for about 2 hours and I fell off. And I broke my arm and my leg and my ankle. And all I wanted to do at the time was to go home and cry. But my father, being a very practical man, said, no, son, best thing for you to do is to get right back up on the pylon again. And he banned chocolate from the house as well. As he used to say in his own words, chocolate is the devil's shite. Have to leave it in a big basket outside the front door. I didn't mind peanuts so much at all. Like sometimes, if we were very well behaved, as a special treat, he'd chop up peanuts very finely. And when we were asleep, he'd lodge them between our teeth. Lovely man. And about once every year, he'd come in and say, now we're all going on family holidays. And we'd all go, hey, big day, big day. And we'd all get our buckets and spades and every single stripy thing in the house, and we'd all pile into the back of the car, and we had a great time. And we'd play I Spy for about 2 hours, and then we'd punch each other a bit. And then we'd all pile out of the car and back into the house again. We didn't go anywhere at all. That was during the oil crisis in the mid-70s. We had no petrol. And we didn't mind at all, but we had a dog who didn't know anything about this at all, and it was a very unfortunate dog. It had no tongue, to be honest. No, it was one of those dogs going, and